Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Daily Market Report brought to you by Mike Bjork. Today is Hump Day. It's November 14th. We got a few economic news releases to go over today. Some big ones, as we mentioned in yesterday's report, and that is the CPI, or also the Consumer Price Index for the month of October. So this is the headline number. We had a 0.1% increase in the month of September. Forecast for October was 0.3%, and it did go up as forecast at 0.3%. So this brought our year over year from 2.3 to 2.2%. I'm sorry, 2.3 to 2.5%, I believe it is, year over year. Now, when you take out food and energy, we get the core CPI for the month of October. In September, it went up to 0.1%. Forecast supposed to be 0.2% for October, and it came in at expectations. However, its year over year dropped from 2.2 to 2.1%. This is really the number we look at. Now, a big major factor we're probably going to start seeing a little bit of this, and we'll touch on that here in a minute, is oil. Oil seems to be dropping down for a while now. The price has been coming down. So what happens is, even though those costs of goods, we take out food and oil because it's a variable, a lot of the wholesale take on that cost as it goes up and don't pass on to the consumer. But now that they have some savings, they may cut prices, and that's probably what we're kind of starting to see. It has an indirect way, even though we are taking that out of itself, but indirectly it's affecting other prices as their cost of goods, their costs go up as well. Let's take a look here at the headline news. Stock market is currently down. It was actually up this morning, but however, Apple seems to be weighing it down. It's kind of doing a U-turn, and the Dow was down, did like about 250-point reverse. So it was up over 100 points early morning, and then it reversed. Now it's down a bit, and a lot of it has to do with Apple. And Apple hasn't been able to rebound when they gave their quarterly report and announced that they were not going to release the sales of their units in their iPads and iPhones. And that's clearly upset investors, and investors basically been kind of selling off a bit on Apple, and that looks like it's kind of creating a bit of a bear market so far in the stocks here. There are some of the other things that the investors are looking at. It seems like there's been a little bit of a spat between the two White House administrators on China. There's one that basically is saying that thought we're close, another one's basically saying we're far off on agreement with China, and it seems like they're kind of bringing that public here, and so it's something that investors are kind of watching here as to what's the real story here. So it's creating a bit of confusion as to where are we with it. Now, oil, as we mentioned, oil has been dropping quite a bit, dropping down, getting lower and lower prices, and so we kind of actually saw on the core prices come down on the consumer level, which is obviously a good sign. Now, investors always kind of keep an eye on how this is being handled with the Brexit in terms of their pull out, the negotiations with England and the EU on how they handle trade and everything else when they pull back from the EU. And it'll be interesting to see. She's got to deal with internal as well as external. So she's dealing with her own cabinet people, Parliament, before she can do really much of anything, and then have to be able to try and negotiate that with the EU. We do have a few Fed speakers. We had Mr. Quarles speak earlier today, but after hours, a big one will be Mr. Powell will be speaking. He's obviously the Fed chair, and he'll be speaking after hours around 6 p.m. East Coast time, and that could obviously move markets as well. Probably tomorrow, most likely, if there's any any surprises or something that catches the investors' ears that maybe they weren't aware of or didn't think of before. So there'll be something that could be potentially a market mover as well. Here's the bond market. We were down earlier in the day this morning as the stock markets were up. As the markets did that U-turn, stock market U-turn, so has the bond market. Now we're up. Currently, this is showing about 3 basis points, but it's still kind of climbing a little bit, and it's up a little bit higher after I've taken the screenshot here of where we are. So this is going up a little bit. How high we go up, it's hard to say. Yesterday we had a good day. We were kind of hanging around positive territory for a little bit, and then it kind of shot up, and I think we closed up 14 basis points yesterday. Perhaps we'll have that same type of day. Maybe we'll test the 25-day moving average. It's hard to tell. When we're in this middle range here, it has room for the upside as well as downside. We'll just kind of have to see a little bit of volatility in the markets as to if it continues this direction or not. Here's the yields. The yields are getting pushed down lower. It's testing the ceiling resistance, the 25-day moving average. As you saw Friday, it dropped below it, and since then it's trying to break above it, and it hasn't been able to do so. We're down to about 3.13 on the 10-year Treasury, which is helping mortgage-backed securities and putting less pressure on mortgage-backed securities and let it rise a little bit to give us a little bit better pricing in our interest rates. All right, so that wraps things up. If you guys want any updates or any changes, I'll post on Twitter here. You can find me at Mike Bjork on Twitter. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.